Is Blake Lively in her legal battle between Justin Baldoni, Steve Sarowitz, and Wayfair causing real-life crime?
Blake Lively is once again at the center of controversy as new blackmail-related evidence has come to light, this time involving billionaire Steve Sarowitz.
Steve Sarowitz and his home was the subject of an arson battle in Highland Park, Illinois.
His residence was deliberately torched, his daughter received chilling threats, and the perpetrator disturbingly cited Blake's own legal complaint as if it were sacred text.
This story is crazy, and Blake Lively was mentioned in the case.
While innocent lives were being terrorized, Blake remained silent, acting as if none of it concerned her, as if the chaos wasn't her circus and the destruction wasn't her fire to put out.
This is a horrible look for Blake Lively. He should be horrible.
Steve Sarowitz's house wasn't just struck by misfortune. No, it was brutally targeted in a deliberate attack on April 28, 2024, at exactly 3:25 a.m. It seems someone binged too many Netflix thrillers and decided to audition for the villain role in real life. The assailant doused his garbage bin with flammable chemicals and set it ablaze like it had a debt to pay. And shockingly, this wasn't the work of some reckless teenager with a lighter. Prosecutors have made it crystal clear. This was no accident, it was a calculated act, a fiery warning shot.
Prosecutors say suspects committed arson and tried extorting billionaire family in Highland Park by threat kidnapping. This dude, I'll tell you all about the story, and that is Steve Sarowitz, here in Highland Park in Illinois.
And as if setting someone's property on fire wasn't theatrical enough, the arsonist upped the ante with a full-scale extortion scheme. Because nothing says criminal mastermind quite like threatening to kidnap a billionaire's daughter. That's right, a college-age girl just trying to live her life, juggling school, exams, and probably annoying roommates, suddenly found herself at the center of terrifying ransom threats. That's not tabloid fodder. That's real trauma, the kind that leaves scars, not headlines.
Prosecutors say a suspect committed arson at the billionaire's family home and then threatened to kidnap their daughter if they did not provide him $80,000 in cash.
But this is where things take a movie-level twist, because those ransom notes weren't just after cash. They pulled in none other than Blake Lively. Yes, that Blake Lively, the darling of Tinseltown who seems to believe she's leading the feminist movement simply because she once rocked a tailored blazer for a Vogue editorial.
We know that he's the founder of Wayfair Studios. We know him as also being named as the defendant in this lawsuit from Blake Lively. We know him as being part of the co-producer of It Ends With Us.
The messages allege that Sarowitz was willing to shell out $100 million solely to take her and her family down. $100 million to obliterate a woman who seems to think activism means sharing floral aesthetics in the middle of a storyline involving sexual assault. Try to make that make sense.
Part of the film production company that is involved in an active lawsuit against Blake Lively and their Hollywood producer. Now here's the kicker. The attorney said the drama involved the Hollywood debacle.
Now pause. While Steve Sarowitz's family is trapped in a real-life nightmare, what's Blake up to? Is she speaking out for safety, expressing concern, denouncing the threats? Not even close. She's busy flooding social media with red carpet selfies, captioned with gems like, "Bloom where you're planted." Girl, your reputation's going up in smoke, and you're out here playing pretend influencer. Her silence is louder than the sirens that showed up to the blaze.
I overheard, or I was told by Steve Sarowitz, that he was willing to spend all this money to ruin Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively.
Let's take a moment to unpack this so-called criminal mastermind. Eduardo Aragon, 25 years old and proudly unemployed for the past 2 years, so clearly just crushing life. This genius decided to text Jessica Sarowitz demanding $80,000 in unmarked, non-sequential bills, as if he's starring in Ocean's 11. And what was his pitch? Something straight out of a discount thriller. If you're willing to spend $100 million to ruin Miss Lively, surely you can spare a few for your daughter. I'm sorry, what? Since when did Blake Lively become the gold standard for ransom economics?
They're going along these lines. Steve Sarowitz said that I will destroy Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. I will spend $100 million to destroy Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively.
It gets even darker. This mastermind didn't just make threats. He stalked. He texted their daughter, naming her college and sorority house address. That's not just unsettling, it's downright chilling. This young woman should be worrying about finals, not wondering if someone's tracking her every move. And the genius behind all this? He thought he could hide by using the Highland Park Library's Wi-Fi, as if that would cover his tracks. Naturally, he was caught on camera, because pro tip if you're going to commit a crime, maybe don't do it under the watchful eye of a ring cam filming your every step from the parking lot.
But Jessica, the wife, the mom, receives a text message from this unknown number that indicates a threat of kidnapping their daughter if the family does not provide $80,000 in unmarked, non-sequential bills. This is a movie plot, okay?
So let's be clear. Blake Lively's name wasn't just tossed around in whispers at the latest gossip brunch. It was front and center in the threats. The ransom notes weren't vague either. They specifically referenced a personal vendetta involving her. This means her Hollywood lawsuit drama didn't just stay confined to tabloids. It bled into real-life violence. That's not some carefully crafted branding campaign. That's collateral damage.
But at the end of the day, this does not look good for Blake Lively. So if the CIA, Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively side thinks in any capacity that this guy would be a good thing for them, opposite. This is a horrible look for Blake Lively.
Now you'd think any rational public figure with half a brain would step in and distance themselves from something this insane. Say something, issue a statement, at the very least pretend to care that their name's being dragged through felony-level threats. But nope. Blake Lively, not a word, not even a peep. Radio silence. Either her PR team is non-existent, or she genuinely thinks she's too polished to get any smoke on her hands.
It said, if you fail to comply, we will take the daughter's name hostage, and she won't make graduation. At that point, we will ask for more money. If you guys are prepared to spend $100 million to ruin the lives of Miss Lively and her family, we are sure you can spare you for your daughter.
And since we're talking about her PR, can someone explain how Blake Lively still manages to cling to this feminist label? The same woman who had a plantation-themed wedding. The same woman who ignored serious domestic abuse themes in her last film just so she could gush about seasonal dresses. That woman, who's now being mentioned in an extortion case linked to a possible kidnapping, has absolutely nothing to say. Please.
How can we find out who this Eduardo guy is? Where did he find all this information?
This isn't just another chapter in some messy celebrity lawsuit. This is serious. This is real. And with every passing second that Blake Lively stays silent, she's making it louder. This isn't about taking sides in some Hollywood feud. It's about the cold reality that a billionaire family's home was set on fire, a daughter was stalked, and someone thought that Blake Lively's name was their golden ticket to blackmail.
Another message was sent on Thursday to the daughter identifying her college and the address of her sorority house where she frequently visits. Okay, Miss Honor Roll, we know you're at the address. You guys are not untouchable. You can upgrade your security all you want and that still won't stop us.
And yet she's out there parading around like she's untouchable. Newsflash, when your name starts appearing in criminal demands, you're already in the mess. Pretending it doesn't exist doesn't make you innocent. It just makes you indifferent, and honestly, that might be worse. So no, this isn't about cancel culture or celebrity drama. This is about accountability. Because Blake, darling, this isn't Gossip Girl. You don't get to stroll out of the scandal with perfect hair and a witty closing line. Welcome to real life.
Part of the consequences of this entire thing going public is that people are taking this to their advantage. Steve Sarowitz, to me, seems like a very, very wealthy guy with good intentions.
Let's talk about Eduardo Aragon for a second. This guy didn't just wake up one morning and think, you know what? I'll light a billionaire's garbage can on fire and casually threaten his daughter. No, this was premeditated, disturbingly obsessive, and deeply personal. 2 years unemployed, and suddenly Eduardo decides to make his comeback by channeling his inner Zodiac killer, but on a budget, while casually name-dropping Blake Lively as if she's some kind of Hollywood demigod.
Prosecutors say that this man, his name is Eduardo Aragon. This guy, on the left, this suspect committed arson, tried extorting billionaire family in Highland Park by threat of kidnapping.
There's no direct link tying Blake Lively to this lunatic, but the way her name was dragged through every single one of his messages, that doesn't scream coincidence. It screams obsession. This wasn't just some desperate, I need rent money crime. No, this was a full-blown parasocial meltdown. The guy was out here spoofing phone numbers, using anonymous texting tools, hiding behind internet apps like some teenager trying to sneak onto a dating site. Classic budget Bond villain energy.
You can leave the lights on, you can upgrade your security, and we will still get by. Understand we took precautions to stay hidden. We are prepared to ruin all your lives. We're not asking for millions, just for $80,000. It's nothing to you people, the message said.
Eduardo thought he was outsmarting everyone, using library Wi-Fi like he was Jason Bourne. But in reality, the cameras caught him like he was just another amateur stealing candy bars. And what really sends a chill down the spine, he knew exactly where the Sarowitz's daughter lived. Not just her college, not just her sorority, but her dorm, her routine, her every move. That's not desperation, that's stalker-level obsession and commitment.
Eduardo Aragon, Highland Park, was seen on surveillance video coming to the library parking lot at night, using the free Wi-Fi at the same time the messages were sent.
Now the real question becomes, was Eduardo acting alone, or was he somehow weaponized? Because let's be real, you don't wake up unemployed for 2 years and suddenly decide to go full Mission Impossible on a billionaire and his daughter unless something or someone pushed you. Maybe it was just blind obsession, or maybe it was calculated manipulation. Either way, Blake's name being used as the driving force doesn't make her look like a victim. It makes her an instigator by proxy. She didn't light the match, but her silence sure helped fan the flames. Now let's dive into that $100 million whisper war, shall we? Somehow, that exact figure made its dramatic entrance in a ransom note, the same amount Blake's legal team claimed Sarowitz was allegedly spending to ruin her reputation. Oh, really? So now Eduardo is quoting Blake's lawsuit like it's gospel. Either he's an unusually loyal fanboy, or he's getting intel from someone playing a very dirty game.
Aragon confessed that he was the one who started the fire on Sarowitz. He admitted going to the library and sending the messages over Wi-Fi demanding the $80,000 to not kidnap the family's daughter. He had been out of work for 2 years and needed the money.
There is zero actual evidence that Sarowitz ever said he'd spend that kind of money to ruin Blake Lively. No court records, no audio leaks, nothing concrete. Yet, here we are, with that very phrase being used as leverage in a felony-level extortion case. That's not coincidence. That's either a well-timed manipulation or a grotesque example of how celebrity drama can spiral into criminality. And if Blake's PR team thinks this is just another headline they can sweep under the rug, they're not just incompetent, they're reckless. Let's get real. If your legal filings are inspiring extortion plots, it's time for a full system audit. Either the messaging was sloppy enough to be twisted by psychos, or someone from Team Lively left breadcrumbs for a guy like Eduardo to follow. Whichever way you cut it, it's dangerous. This is no longer about who's right in the courtroom. It's about who's giving deranged people the ammunition they need to commit actual crimes.
He was charged on 1 count of arson, 6 counts of intimidation, and 1 count of harassment through electronic communication. The lawyers claimed that, Aragon put a price on the lives of the family. The defendant vindicated his actions have means and sophistication to find the phone numbers of the family members.
And speaking of crimes, let's talk about how Eduardo got caught, because honestly, it's embarrassing. The FBI and Highland Park police didn't have to work that hard. They tracked him using basic digital warrants, standard IP tracing, and surveillance footage that even a YouTuber with a ring light could have analyzed. Eduardo used the public library's Wi-Fi at night while wearing a face that practically screamed, "I did it." Like, sir, if you're going to commit arson and extortion, maybe don't do it from a building with security cameras and an open parking lot.
And tried to shadow himself by using internet phone apps and public Wi-Fi to avoid detection. Prosecutors said the messages were not only meant to serve the public, but also to invoke fear in the Sarowitz family, with Aragon researching where the daughter was going to school.
Oh, and that gift he left at the Sarowitz residence? Forensic evidence traced it right back to him. Combine that with his confession, and it's pretty much case closed. He's now officially charged with 1 count of arson, 6 counts of intimidation, and 1 count of harassment through electronic communication. Congratulations, Eduardo! You went from an unemployed loser to a federal defendant faster than Blake Lively changes accents on press tours.
The defendant took substantial steps to terrorize his family, and he has stages in placing them in a constant state of fear.
Mark your calendars, May 29, 2025. That's when Eduardo Aragon will face court again, and security will be tighter than Blake Lively's Met Gala corset. This isn't just another celebrity feud. It's real, and Blake's silence only makes her look worse. Her name was weaponized in a criminal case, with threats and extortion tied to her reputation. While a billionaire's family was terrorized, she was busy posting empty selfies, ignoring the fallout. Her failure to speak up isn't noble, it's negligent. The Wayfarer Foundation collapsed, victims suffered, and Blake remained mute. This isn't about cancel culture, it's about accountability. Blake may not have set the fire, but her legal narrative fueled the flames. Her silence isn't innocence, it's complicity. Blake, you're the ghost behind this mess, and the world is watching. This isn't the rom-com ending you hoped for, but the real story is only just beginning. And that's the drama wrapped up for today. If you want more explosive updates and deeper dives into the Hollywood chaos, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching.